Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Salam.
Yes. Selamat datang ke satu lagi diskusi kita, satu lagi perbincangan kita tentang alam Nusantara ini. Hari ini kita beri satu judul yang sangat relevan dan penting dan mungkin kritikal juga, iaitu tentang dasar luar Malaysia dan Laut Cina Selatan, dan fokus kepada Pulau Natuna. Ya. Kita akan ada 4 bahagian dalam perbincangan kita hari ini, dalam diskusi kita hari ini. Jadi pertamanya kita akan ada saudara Adam dari mahasiswa International Relations, hubungan antarabangsa ataupun hubungan internasional dari UNIZA, Universiti Islam Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu, akan membentangkan yang pertamanya mungkin membincangkan tentang isu-isu tertentu. Jadi kita serahkan kepada beliau untuk apa yang dibincangkan. Kemudian dalam bahagian kedua kita ada saudari Alia juga pada universiti yang sama, Universiti Islam Sultan Zainal Abidin. Dan kemudian yang ketiga ada saudara Ahmad dari universiti yang sama, juga mahasiswa hubungan antarabangsa, dan membincangkan dari perspektif beliau sendiri. Ya. Kita akan kurang lebih membincangkan tentang beberapa pertanyaan, beberapa hal, iaitu apakah isu yang kita bincangkan, yang kita bahaskan di sini, siapakah pemegang taruh, who are the international actors in this area, apakah dasar luar Malaysia tentang Pulau Natuna dan Laut Cina Selatan, bagaimanakah Malaysia sebagai sebuah negara boleh berperanan di wilayah ini, dan dari perspektif keselamatan kita akan bincangkan juga kestabilan politik, ekonomi, sosial budaya, dan saya harap juga, saya harap sangat kerana kita perbincangan kita ini dibingkai dari paradigma Nusantara ataupun dalam wacana Nusantara. Jadi saya ingin tahu juga lah dari perspektif yang lebih luas, apakah solusi, apakah penyelesaian, apa kerangka penyelesaian Nusantara yang boleh kita perkenalkan dalam apa namanya, membawa kedamaian, membawa kesejahteraan kepada wilayah ini, kepada samudera di keliling Natuna ini, dan samudera Nusantara yang kadang-kadang kita panggilnya Laut Cina Selatan. Baik, kita bermula dengan apa nama ni, pembentang pertama, speaker pertama, iaitu saudara Adam Rahman. So the floor is yours. Seperti orang Indonesia bilang, waktu dan tempatnya dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Prof. Reevany, izinkan saya untuk menggunakan slide, dan mungkin saya punya pembentangan akan dibuat dipercakapkan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi saya punya tajuk atau pembentangan ialah strategizing Sultancy and Natuna dispute using the Nusantara paradigm. So for your information, basically Sultancy is a territorial dispute, geopolitical, that most or some of the Southeast Asian country are faced right now. But the most interesting part of this problem is that there is, two contestation by foreign, I would say foreign sovereign power, a foreign sovereign superpower countries, which is China and US. Now, you would see in the slide that Malaysia, Brunei, Thailand, Philippines, and these foreign power. Of course, I would say that though only Malaysia, formerly Malaysia, Brunei, Thailand, and Philippines are being in the conflict of interest or conflict of the parties, I would say that most of the remaining ASEAN member states would be indirectly affected as well. Now, moving on, this is the same. Natuna is basically under the area of the South China Sea. Well, the Natuna Island is basically the problem that we encounter because of our former colonial power, whether Indonesia it's Dutch, Netherlands, or even British, the England. Now, the issues and problems that we are facing right now is we need to know why these different power are continuously, trying to have their own, national sovereignty in the territory. First, of course, I've explained just now, this is a territorial dispute, and if you are going to be under the reasoning of why US came to the Southeast Asia region is because basically the economic prosperity, the biodiversity of the territory that are going to be, the natural resources and so on and so forth. And I think to be able to understand this problem more, I would say, more deeply, we need to look at the stance and alignment that the two sovereign major superpower deem on. First, China. China is basically are claiming the South China Sea by using their own traditional culture, 9-line. It is their own. It is how they calculate all the territorial borders. But one of the interesting or major things that happen in China, because China is basically a state parties to UNCLOS in international law. We do have this law of the sea, United Nations Convention on law of the sea, right? So basically, Philippines, one of the parties, brings this case to the Permanent Court of Arbitration. But then, of course, China did not accept that. So basically, this ruling, the aftermath of this ruling, that this decision of PCA is not legally binding. So basically, it did not enter, and it rejects the tribunal decision, because tribunal decision is basically saying that China, usage of their own culture, traditional 9-line is not, it basically contradicts the principle of law of the sea, right? So let's look at how US sees South China Sea. As I mentioned before, it is about economy and the biodiversity and natural resources that they think would benefit them. So it is an economic interest. So it was started mainly during the Barack Obama's period, wherein one of the major foreign policy is the pivot to Asia, right? So, okay, as I mentioned just now, UNCLOS, this is the irony, right? US basically is not a state party, but we all know that US is basically the Western, I would say, the Western advocate of liberal institutionalism, right? So international order, they have been propagated it for a long time already, but it is not a state party. So that's irony. But China as well is being US. It is a state member to UNCLOS. It should know the principle of law of the sea, but it did not follow the certain principle, like the common heritage and so on and so forth. Right now, let's see how Malaysia foreign policy trajectory. Now, Malaysia, of course, I took this passage from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Malaysia website. So this is the keyword: independent, principled, pragmatic, and pragmatic foreign policy that founded on the value of peace, humanity, justice, and equality. And this Malaysia also respect and tries to projects its foreign policy by the principle of respect for independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and non-interference in other nation, peace settlement of dispute, peaceful coexistence, and mutual benefits in relation. And we can see this in how Malaysia tries to strategize its position, whether it is by diplomatic notes and so on. So again, Malaysia is part of ASEAN South China Sea Code on Conduct Initiative. And I think everyone knows about it, but the code of conduct is the recent development. Code of conduct is I would not say non-existent, but it is slowly progressing, right? So again, this is one of the notable recent I would say case study lah, with which Malaysia former Foreign Minister Shamuddin did diplomatic fox by calling his counterpart China Big Brother, right? But as we all know, Malaysia history in the foreign relation is basically is not under the jurisdiction or the position of any sovereign power. So by calling China Big Brother is a massive statement that we are aligned to China. So it is, it is a contradictory to, Malaysia domestic policy where Malaysian is a Malay is basically, allergic to the word of Chinese communists. But then our Malay leader is calling the prime example of what communist Big Brother. So it is interesting. Okay, this is the statement that I took during Hishamuddin, diplomatic meet in 2021 with China's foreign minister, that they both agreed on mutual cooperation. This is a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs China, that they said Malaysia they said jointly maintain peace and stability of the South China Sea. China and Malaysia agrees on reinforcement of marine dialogue and cooperation and proper management of difference. So this is basically indirectly say that we do have difference, but we're not going to solve in a dispute manner. And they do agree on the conduct code of conduct. But this last statement by Wang Yi is interesting, as well as he mentioned about the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. But I'm not sure, because recent event that I mentioned, that China reject the permanent court arbitration, that basically rejects the law of the sea itself. But I don't know how this political trajectory of China's tries to implement, because in international or in international level, in the court arbitration, it's a we will not agree with the principle, but on the other hand, between the state to state bilateral relation, we do agree with what law of the sea is. Next slide. I would say in security part, Malaysia, if they want to resolve this South China Sea Natuna Island dispute, is I would argue in the context of security, Malaysia basically cannot act alone. If we're talking about the modern relation right now, of course we need a consensus of 10 ASEAN members. Everyone needs to be included, and of course right now, I'm being a realist right now, that even we have the 10 ASEAN members, our power is basically are going to focus on soft power. We do not have the military capabilities. I don't think so. And one of the, again, not recent event is I'm pretty sure all of my friends knows about it, wherein there is 16 military jets, 16 military jets information, pass through. I'm not sure whether it passed through or it tries to linger on the borders of the airspace. But of course, the border of the airspace is basically South China Sea, so it is not about airspace only; it is about maritime. And this one, I'm not sure. Malaysia actually sent one jet to intercept the formation. So you would say Malaysia are sending one jet only, but to send 60 military jets. And from what I've been informed, that these jets that are being sent by Malaysia is not a combat jet. It's not a military. It's not a combat jet. It's a military jet, but it's not a combat. So while China is sending military combat jet, Malaysia is sending none of that. So again, before I further to my conclusion, I would argue on the Nusantara paradigm. For me, I do not believe that there is an interplay between the nation state and the Nusantara civilization value. I do not think so. I think if we're going to have this Nusantara paradigm, then we need to abandon the nation state, because the Western concept of Westphalian is not being suitable. It is culturally non-adaptable because of borders, migrant issues, right? Maybe in the Sungai Golok back then we don't care if we want to pass through the Sungai Golok, we don't have this kind of complex passport or whatnot, right? So again, my main point is to abandon nation state, but we need more. We need a political will. We need a political interest, right? So the thing about me is trying to see how we need to build a political organization. So maybe Maflindo could be reestablished. Who knows, right? And we need to include other former Malay archipelago lah. Because as you know, China and US interest is basically a political interest and economic interest. We cannot fight them with diplomatic manner. We could, if we want this thing to escalate more further in 10 to 15 years, okay, we can use the diplomatic manners. But I do not think China and US will care about that. This US and China are bringing their own warfare ships in our territory. So we need to consider that political will might be one of the way, and I think it will be the key to solve this dispute problem. So Nusantara, again, we need a political entity. So for the conclusion, I think for the conclusion, I think I went different, but I conclude. I'm going to conclude with the point that Nusantara is not an ideal. I would say it is a reality. It can be done. It is up to us. It is up to us to produce a Nusantara international relations scholars and build our own civilization values. And I think even in IR scholarship, global IR studies and whatnot, would be I'd say options to the discussion or the discourse of what Nusantara should be in the international relation. Thank you. Prof, I cannot hear you.
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Adam. That's a short but insightful look into the realities in South China Sea. And I'm glad that you share your take on Nusantara as well. I like the term you use, civilizational state versus the nation state. That's definitely one way to conceptualize Nusantara, of course, because it is, it can be seen as a political entity as well. So that's a good way to put, to phrase it, to frame it. Yeah. And then the other thing, I take note of, I appreciate, in fact, the idea that you have doubts or a realist perspective of the idea of Nusantara being re-established as a framework of a solution framework in the present context. So that's definitely the current reality, and a lot of people would not think of Nusantara. In fact, do not have that Nusantara idea at all in the analysis of international relations within the context of South China Sea, and and that would include Natuna, right? So we will conclude part one of our discussion. We will continue with part two, and we will have Alia presenting her work in part two. So terima kasih.